Good afternoon, everyone. This is Rooftop Sports, and yes, this is a very unusual time for me to do. It's a very unusual time of me to do a live streaming, but I got games to catch up on, so the views don't really matter to me. But do hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification if you are still hanging around. It's going to be the Seattle SuperSonics against the Sacramento Kings. No, I did not quit my job. I just happened to have a day off from work. Come on, BCLA boy. Anyways, it's time to. No, I did not quit my day job. All right, let's go back to 1999. Let's get this going. All right, here we are. Going to be the Sacramento Kings against the Seattle SuperSonics. All right, let's first let's skip this day. They offered me. No, that's an insult. Get out of here. All right, it's going to be the Sacramento Kings against the Seattle SuperSonics. They are home, going up against the likes of. I hope Chris Webber is hanging around. What's the lineup? Chris Webber, for whatever reason, is not available. A little bit confused by that. Wow. It's a pretty banged up team, if you ask me. All right, let's get to it. Jerome James. Not even Vlade Divac is available either, so this is going to be a very short-handed team. Lewis for 3. Oh, he gets it. Lewis from downtown. Now here's Williams. Now here's Tariq, and he misses. Now here is Jamie Watson. He'll pass it to Rodman, and he misses. Now here's Jason Williams. Jerome James is guarding, and he gets the block. Nice block by Jerome James, one of many that he'll get. And now Lewis again for 3. Nope, not this time. Now here's Jason Williams, and he is able to get that in there. And here comes Watson. Lewis again from 3. Nope, not this time. Now here's Jamie Watson. Lewis again going for it. Oh, he makes it this time as he is the only scorer for the Seattle SuperSonics. Sacramento is just falling behind. Doesn't help when you don't have Vlade Divac and Chris Webber. Minnesota saying, congrats on the Super Bowl. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we must get our SuperSonics back. And a 3-pointer by Jason Williams. He may have to carry the heavy load. And now here's Dennis Rodman. He's there. And he gets himself some room. And he knocks down Corliss Williamson. I want to see what happened to Chris Webber. So Divac is injured. But where is Chris Webber? There's Jason Williams. And Williams is able to get through. And your shirt, your logo, Minnesota. I feel you. That's all I can say. I'm sure you saw that video by Nick, along with millions of others. Lewis for 3. Lewis again from downtown. He is on fire. Now here's Williams. Oh, he makes another shot. Now here's Watson. Now here's Jerome James. Kicks it out to Lewis for 3. And now here's Jerome James, and he gets it. I know, Minnesota. I probably should zip it, right? I should definitely zip it. We should both zip it. Now here's Williams for 3. Oh, my goodness. Williams from downtown. Now here's Lewis. Goes for a jumper. Oh, he does it again. Rashard Lewis has the radar going. And do you live in Minnesota, my friend? Now here's Watson. Now Williams going for another jumper. And now here's Oliver Miller. He misses. You're from New York City. And now Lewis for 3. Nope, not this time. Oh boy, the All-Star game is coming up. Yep, that's true. And Oliver Miller makes it. So are you Yankees or Mets? Or Knicks or Nets? Here's Lewis. Not this time. Now here's Williams. Now Vernon Maxwell goes for the 3-pointer. And that will be out of... Oh, it's going to be a save. No, Lewis gets it. And now here is Watson. Nice pass. And that's going to get in there for the dunk. It looks like timeout has been called. And the Sonics are very much in... Not very much in this. They came out to play. Taking advantage of... I found your channel during in the Korea game. Yeah. When I was like up like at 2 a.m, that was crazy. And James commits the foul. I know that was. I would have actually stayed better awake if Ohtani actually hit a home run that game. And Williams makes the free throw. Now it's a 1-point game. And Divac is actually coming in. Now here's James. No, he does not make it. James has actually struggled. They haven't really given them much touches at all. And now here's Funderburk. James should be on Bloody Divac. And now here's Barry for 3. And now Sacramento takes the lead. Now here's Watson. And that's going to be stolen by Funderburk. He was knocked by John Barry, brother of Brent Barry. And now here's Williams. And he's able to float that in there. The white chocolate is absolutely just killing him. Now here's Rashard Lewis. Jamie Watson should be able to get through Funderburk. He should be able to, no problem, you would think. And Lewis for 3. No, Rodman with the rebound. Gets it to James. Trying to get him some touches. No, he does not get it. And he kind of almost got the rebound from his chest. And now Sonics are all of a sudden falling behind. And now here's Barry. And James this time gets the rebound. Now here comes Rashard Lewis. Oh no, and it's a steal by John Barry. And Rodman with the rebound. And here's Watson with the dunk. Minnesota says, Joe, your Mariners are next to win the World Series. I hope you're right. Your team must make the playoffs. Cal Raleigh Julio will rake in October. I hope you are right, my friend. but it's hard to see it. Okay, what was I looking up? Oh yeah, Nightbot. I gotta turn off a couple things on Nightbot that shouldn't be there. I'm also watching the Latvia United States game as well. Stojakovic is now checking in. And here's Hawkins. And here's Scott Pollard. And Rodman with another rebound. Here comes Rashard Lewis. Sneaks it to Ruben Patterson with the dunk. I know, it would be crazy. Let's say the Seahawks win the Super Bowl. Sonics are back in Seattle. Mariners win the World Series. USA wins a crazy game in Seattle. 2026 has potential to be a huge year for Seattle in general in sports, and then loses the ball and fouled by Jerome James. And now he has 2 fouls. He's going to have to come out of the game. Yeah, the Mariners do have a great farm system, no doubt about that. But I do have their concerns on their infield positions. And now here's Rodman. No, that was actually Scott Pollard makes the layup. Now here's Watson. Rodman, you don't want him taking the three-pointer. Here's Patterson to James. And he's able to get that in there. Jerome James with 4 points. He's kind of off to a slow start. Now here's Hawkins. He's able to get around Rodman, but he can't get it. And now only the seconds are left. And now here is Rashard Lewis. Goes for it and misses. And that will be the end of the first quarter. There's a chance I might do a doubleheader today, so heads up. Now the Sonics have brought their whole entire bench. Now here's Hawkins. And Pollard's able to get going on the paint. Now here's Shammond Williams for 3. And he gets that in there. Gives the Sonics a 2-point lead. I did not attend the parade, but I went to America's Night hosted by the Marine Layer podcast. I actually won 2 of them, so I won some really cool prizes. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I won on a couple categories. I was number 1 in the category 1995. Here's Williams for 3. Again, Williams from downtown. Where was that Shammond Williams that we didn't really get? Sonics are now 5 of 10 from downtown. Now here's Hawkins going for the jumper. He misses, and now Bennett with the rebound. And he's got the other sharpshooter and Joe Stevens for 3. Oh my goodness. That is 3 3-pointers in a row by Seattle. They are on a 9-0 lead. Now here's Maxwell blocked by Stevens. And they could go for this transition. Now here is Stevens. And he makes it. Sonics are now just on fire. They are a running riot. Here's Vernon Maxwell. And fouled by Bennett. Now Maxwell for 3. He makes it. Kind of keeping the Kings in the game. In case anyone cares, USA just scored again for hockey. Here's Stevens for 3. And Shammond Williams and Joe Stevens are just continuing to torch the Sacramento Kings. Now here's Hawkins. And the center is able to get that in there. That was Oliver Miller. Let's do this again. Williams again for 3. Not this time. Now here's Hawkins. And he makes it. It is now 37-33. Now here's Resprit for 3. And now here's Bennett. And he misses, but he had the rebound. Just couldn't get enough on it. And now here's Anderson. I think that's Shandon Anderson, who was traded from the Seattle SuperSonics for Jerome James. Who the Sonics, they got Shandon Anderson from the Hersey Hawkins trade. Now here's Stevens. And that's going to be stolen by Sacramento. Now here comes Hawkins. He's able to lay that in there. And timeout will be called by Seattle. They want to talk it over as their 10-point lead just got evaporated real quickly. Bringing back their starters. Screen by Rodman. Now here's Patterson wide open. And James with the rebound. He is fouled. And he will go to the line. Jerome James does an excellent job drawing the foul. He makes the free throw. He has 5 points. And now he has 6 points. Jerome James, he is raw talent, but he has been doing very well this season. Might have a chance for a rookie game. Now here's Corliss Williamson guarded by Rodman. And now here's Hawkins. And Anderson's being guarded. Now Hawkins again. Now here's the jumper, and he makes it. Now here's Watson. Going to try to go in. And Lewis for 3. Rashard Lewis from downtown. He has now 14 points. He really should get more aggressive in the paint, though. Now here's Hawkins. Where is Jason Williams? He should be playing. Williamson is wide open for a 3, but he's not going to take it. And stolen by Rashard Lewis. And he has some help. And now here's Dennis Rodman. And he gets it. He gets the jam. And timeout has been called. Now here's Williams. He gets back in. Rodman with another rebound. Now here's Ruben Patterson. They're going to slow this down a little bit. And James, he sets the screen. And terrible pass by Watson. And Sacramento is starting to catch up. Here's Watson again. He's going to go right. Could he go right through him now? Oh, no, another turnover. Now here's Abdul Wahad, blocked by Rodman. Now here's Ruben Patterson. And Watson's able to get in there. Nice pass. He hasn't really done much, but he is 3 for 3. And kickball violation. Here's Divac. There's Abdul Wahad. There's a fadeaway. He makes it. Now it's 1:45. Now here's Rodman, and he loses it. Here's Shaman Williams. Not Williams, Jason Williams. There's Abdul Wahad. Shannon Anderson. No one's really going. They're not really doing much. Now here's D-Bots. And Kings get the ball back as the Sonics maintain a 5-point lead. And we got a technical foul. That's on Jerome James. That's free throw being made by Jason Williams. Here's Abdul Wahad. Here's Bloody D-Bots. He's able to storm that in through right in front of Jerome James. There's Rodman. Patterson for three. Now a three-pointer by Barry, and Lewis gets the rebound. Here's Lewis going for the fadeaway. Nope. And 20 seconds left in the quarter and the half. And Jason Williams is able to get that in. There's Watson. Rodman. Lewis for three. No, he's not going to get it. Now here comes Barry. Is he going to take the last shot? And he is going to. Not even close. And that will do it for the half. Lewis has 14 points. They're going to go with their starters. There's Williams for three. And he ties the game. Jason Williams is absolutely on fire. And there's Watson. He was totally unguarded. He's able to get that in. Maybe get that guy more touches. There's Williams going with a floater. And then Jerome James with the rebound. He has 5 rebounds and 6 points. Here's Lewis, and he loses the ball. Now here's Williams. And he gets that in, ties the game. Now here's Jerome James. He's going to post up. He'll go for it, and he gets it in. James now with 8 points. He really has that talent in the post. Just happens to be a little bit inconsistent. That was one of his concerns, which is why he fell into the second round. And now here's a shot by Maxwell. Rebound, James. Here's Jerome James. He should be wide open. He's fouled. Fouled by Williamson. He's going to go to the line. Sonics are now 17 and 35. And misses the free throw. And misses again. Here's Vernon Maxwell. And blocked by Lewis. That was Jason Williams going for it. And here comes Patterson over to Rashard Lewis. He gets the lay-in. That's going to be 16 points for Rashard Lewis. He's now 6 of 15. Now here's Jason Williams. Goes for the three-pointer, and he makes it. Now here's James. And he misses. He had a shot. Now here comes Jason Williams with 27 points. Maxwell with a jumper. James with another rebound, and he dishes it out all the way to Watson. And out of bounds, bad pass. Watson only has 2 assists. He has not been a factor at all. And I can see that Shammond Williams is going to be coming out. Coach is not happy with Jamie Watson. If he is not scoring and he's not getting the assists, he's a very ineffective player. 55 to 54. Timeouts called by Sacramento. Rick Adelman wants to have a chat. There's Scott Pollard. Oh, blocked by James. Now here's Shammond Williams for 3. And Shammond Williams from downtown. And that will extend the Sonics lead. And listen to the crowd. They are going absolutely nuts. And now it's a shot. And now here's Pollard. He got the rebound. Now here's Scott Pollard with a jumper. No, not this time. Here's Jerome James, 8 points and 8 rebounds. Who's going to help him? Williams for 3 again. Shammond Williams from downtown. He is 4 for 4, all on 3-pointers. Now here's Maxwell. And James with another rebound. And what are they going to do here? Here comes Rashard Lewis with the lay-in. Shammond Williams has literally sparked the Sonics. It's now 63 to 54. Now here's Williamson. Abdul Wahad goes for the jumper. And Rodman with the rebound. And here comes Williams. Gets the screen by Rodman. In and out. It was very close. And now here comes Abdul Wahad. And blocked. Now here comes Dennis Rodman. And he's fouled. Oh, and he makes it. Count it, and 1. And he is going to go to the line with a ridiculous and 1 by Dennis Rodman. And he is going to go to the line. And Vlade Divac with the rebound. Here comes Abdul Wahad. And fouled by Williams. There's Divac. And now Stevens with the rebound. Stevens with the jumper. And he makes it. Williams has been overwhelmed in this quarter. Being guarded by Foster. And here's Divac. Nice defense by Greg Foster. Now here's Resprit. Goes for the deep three-pointer. Now Rodman with the rebound. Gets it back to Resprit for three again. And Sean Resprit from downtown once again. The Sonics extend that lead to 14. There's Stojakovic. He makes it. Here comes Shammond Williams. Now here comes Resprit again for three-pointer. And now he's doing his part. Now here's Williams. Escapes for three. And now it's rebounded by Stevens. And now it's going to go to Greg Foster. He is fouled. He's going to go to the line. Now Sacramento's absolutely struggling. Here's Foster. Misses the free throw. Here's Foster again. He misses. Now here's Stojakovic. Gets the easy layup. Now here's Shammond Williams. He's going to go for it. Now here's Greg Foster, double team. Now Resprit for three. Not this time. Now here is Williams. Being guarded by Williams. And now a three-pointer. And now Funderburk with the rebound. Now here's Abdul Wahad. And Stojakovic for three. Vlade Divac with the rebound. And he gets it in. It's now an 11-point game. 31 seconds left. Here's Foster going for the jumper. Nope, he's not going to get it. Here's Williams. Nice moves. Goes for the jumper. And he makes it. And now cut the lead to 9. Now here's Williams for three. No, not this time again. He's now struggling. Now only a few seconds left. And here is Williams for three. No, just in and out. The Sonics are going to bring in their starters. Kings are playing a little bit of press. And fouled by Williams is Watson. And now here's Ruben Patterson. Gets it to Rodman, who seems open. No, he's not going to make it. Now here's Williams. And blocked by Lewis. And now here comes Jamie Watson. Gets it to No! Nearly turned the ball over. Here's James. And now Watson. And the foul. Nice spin moves. And he is going to go to the line. And he completes the three-point play. It was a very nice shot by Watson. Now here's John Barry. Goes for a jumper. And he makes it. And the Sonics seem to be grabbing control of this game. And now here is Watson. He is blocked. But James gets the save. But no, it's not going to be enough. And now here comes Williams. Goes for a jumper and he makes it. Now here is Jamie O. Watson. Goes for three. Not at all. You're going to need their best players to try to get this done. Now here's Williams, and he makes it. Now he brings it to within single digits. Now here's Jamie Watson to Jerome James. Tries to post. He misses it. He's supposed to make those. Something he'll have to work on going the offseason. Blocked by Lewis. And now Williams gets it in. And now it's only a 5-point game. Sacramento continues to be very resilient. And now here's James. He's fouled, and he's going to go to the line. Funderburk is really working his heart out on Jerome James. And he misses the free throw. Let's do this again. Now here's James. Misses again. And now it's 76-71. Now here's Williams. Goes for a three. And James gets another rebound. And here comes Watson. Nice pass by Watson. And Patterson gets that in. It is now 71-78. 78-71. Now here's Williamson. Rebounds. And he's fouled. And he will go to the line. Fouled by Jerome James. James gets another rebound off that miss. Now here's Rashard Lewis. And he misses himself. There comes Barry. And he is fouled by James. And he is now in deep foul trouble. And they got to get him out. Plus, he's getting tired anyway. I think James just came out. Nope, he's still around. But yeah, Jerome James is now in deep foul trouble. He makes the free throw. James has been bruising along. Now here comes Watson. And a backcourt violation. And goaltending. Goaltended by Jelani McCoy. Now it's just a 1-point game. And here comes Shammond Williams. Williams for three. No, he misses. Now here comes Jason Williams. What has he got? And now here's Barry. He is blocked by Watson, and now the Kings have now taken the lead. Now here's Bennett, and he gets through, and the dunk right over Oliver Miller. And a traveling violation. Oh my goodness, and it's now a steal. And blocked by McCoy. Now here's Corliss Williamson. There's Jason Williams going for a deep three, but rebound Miller. Now here's Williamson being guarded by Williams. And he's able to get that in to give Sacramento the lead. Now here's Bennett. No, out of bounds, but it is Sonics basketball still. Here's Stevens. No, not this time. Now here's John Barry. And goaltending by Joe Stevens. And now the Sonics are in trouble. I think they better get their starters back on. They're going to try to get Jerome James back. Here's Williams for three. He misses. McCoy with the rebound. And he's able to get that in. And a steal. And now here comes Jamie Watson with the dunk. Nice defense. Let's look at the stats. Rashard Lewis with 18 points and 4 blocks. Watson doesn't really have assists. Williams is now struggling on shooting. James has 8 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 blocks. We now are at 84 to 83. Now here's Williams with the jumper. Now here's Watson. Goes for the jumper. And he misses. Bad shot selection. Now here's Williams. The white chocolate. Can't post that in. And now here is Watson and the foul. He has now 15 points. His playmaking hasn't been good, but his defense, well, it's had some moments, but he was able to get some scoring in at least. He's not been that efficient. And here's Abdul Wahad. Now here's Maxwell. Goes for the kind of three-pointer. Lewis with the rebound. Now here's Watson. And he gets that in there. Watson now has 17 points, and the Sonics now have a 4-point lead. The fans are up on their feet. Now here's Williams. Oh, and he just froze the crowd. And a nice three-pointer by Jason Williams. Now here comes Watson. Gets it to Jerome James, and he loses it. He loses the ball. Now here comes Jason Williams. And now a three-pointer by Vernon Maxwell. Patterson with the rebound. And now here's Watson again. He gets open. He gets the jam. 19 points. Jerome James is electing to stay on. He still wants to try what he can. Now here's Jason Williams. And he is fouled by Rodman very viciously. Now here's Williams. And a rebound. Now here comes Rashard Lewis to Watson. And he misses. Sentoon, how you doing? I don't think I've ever seen you before. Now here's Williams. He was able to go. No, he misses. Now here's Watson. Now here's Rashard Lewis for 3. No. James with the rebound. And he's able to get that in. Gets himself 10 points. He's now on double figures again, and it's a 5-point lead. Now here's Williams for 3. And he cuts it to a 2-point game. Sonics are going to have to slow this down. Now here's Watson. And a wide open Rashard Lewis for 3. No! And now here's Patterson gets the rebound. They can keep holding on to it. Now here's James. Oh, he gets that in. He has just been remarkable in this quarter. Oh, yeah. Thanks for checking me out, Sentoon. And hit that like button, subscribe, hit notification. And a steal by the Sonics. And that's going to be a foul. And Patterson's going to go to the line. And he makes the free throw. What got your attention on this video? And he misses. Sacramento still has time. What are they going to do? And there's Abdul Wahad. Oliver Miller, and they're just taking their time. Now here's Maxwell for 3. And now they still have an opportunity. And there's no fouling going on. And now here is, and finally they're going to foul. Now here's Lewis at the line. And he makes it. Now it's a 4-point, 3-point game, and then he missed. And what are you doing? Aren't you gonna go for a jump shot? Now here's a 3-pointer. Oh, he misses it. Did they not have any timeouts? Sacramento, you had a freaking timeout. What are you doing? Anyways, that's the game. That was just stupid. Williams had 44 points. You couldn't call a timeout. Let's look at the box score. Watson led the way with 20 points, but he had 6 turnovers. Lewis with 19 points and 7 rebounds. James went 12 and 12 and 2 blocks. Patterson actually was the real playmaker. Rodman had 10 rebounds. McCoy 2 points and 2 rebounds. All right, I'm going to write a quick article. All right. Yeah, I'm starting a Sonics kind of thing. Started it in 1998, 1999 season. I traded away Gary Payton, Percy Hawkins, Detlef Schrempf, all for first-round picks. All right, what do we got here? Go to prospect scouting. Got a lot of scouting going on. All right, who else can I scout around? I'll have Jonathan Bender be looked at. Scott Pageant. Todd McCullough. It's going to be against the Portland Trailblazers. Wonder what happened to Chris Webber. So Chris Webber's injured. He hasn't been playing for a month. That's why. It's going to be the Seattle SuperSonics against the Portland Trailblazers. Sonics have the second best odds in the lottery. It's going to be the Portland Trailblazers against Seattle. All right, I'm going to go with the doubleheader. All right, let's go. And we are underway for game number 2. Here's Watson to Jerome James. Here's Patterson. They got to set some screens. Watson to Lewis. They're having trouble against the Portland defense. And now here is James. And he's not able to get that in there. Now here comes Damon Stoudemire. Jim Jackson. And now here is Jackson with the lay-in. Sonics are coming off of that nice victory against Sacramento. But they're playing against Portland now. And now here's Rashard Lewis. He gets that in there. Knocks down Walt Williams. Now it's a 2-2 game. Now here's Rasheed Wallace. Goes for the jumper. And Lewis with the rebound. And now here is James. And he is fouled and he will go to the line. That's an and one. And James, he misses the free throw. Now here's Walt Williams. Stoudemire, he is fouled and he will himself go to the line. And free throw's been made. Here comes Jamie Watson. Patterson for 3. Let's not have the Sonics win 2 in a row, right? There's Damon Stoudemire. There's Jim Jackson. Stoudemire for 3. There's Walt Williams. And he's able to get that in there. Somehow Jerome James could not get that rebound. And there's Rodman. He is wide open. He's now 9-7. Now here's Ruben Patterson. There comes Williams. And fouled by Lewis. And Sabonis is just too much for Jerome James. Now we got Jamie Watson. And here's James. He's able to get that in there. Nice moves. I think they're going to try to get him the ball more. And fouled by Watson. Here comes Jim Jackson. Here's Rasheed Wallace. Wallace with a jumper. Rodman with the rebound. A nice pass. And now here's Lewis. He was able to make the moves. And he will get that in there. He's now 13-9. Now here's Rasheed Wallace. Nice layup. Now here is Jamie Watson. There's Jerome James. He misses. Now here's Williams to Sabonis. Misses the dunk. How did he do that? And now here's Rodman, 2-on-1 advantage. And he loses it somehow. And Damon Stoudemire is able to get that steal. And now here's Walt Williams. Sabonis with the board. He misses again. Now here's Jerome James. Has a chance. And he cannot make it. The bonus for 3. James with another rebound. And here comes Jamie Watson. Here's James posting up. He gets that in. He's been playing very well. Mike Dunleavy is not happy since he has called the timeout. And Sabonis is able to make the layup. Now here's Jerome James. Spins around. He misses. As they've really been trying to get him more touches. Here's Stoudemire. Here is Wallace with the jumper. What are you doing, Jerome? Now here's Jamie Watson. And it's going to be stolen. Wallace again. James with the rebound. Now here comes Ruben Patterson with the dunk. Got 17-15. Stoudemire for 3. There's Lewis. Gets the rebound. Stoudemire for 3 again. Now here's Rashard Lewis. Can he answer back for 3? Yes, he can. Sonics made that nice little 90-minute road trip to Portland. 3-hour road trip, sorry. Now here's Jim Jackson for 3. 24-20. Now here's Watson to James. He's fouled, and he is fouled by Sabonis, and he will go to the line. And James misses the free throw. And he makes the free throw again. Now here comes Brown. Goes for a 3-pointer. Nope. And now here comes Jamie Watson to Lewis. Now here's Rodman to Jerome James. And that's going to be stolen by Portland. Portland now has a 3-point lead. Now here's Isaiah Ryder. Here's Kelvin Cato. And he's able to get that in there. Nice fadeaway hook shot. Now here's James. Nearly stolen. It's being posted by Augman. Gonna try it again. Here's James, and he gets it in. James now has 9 points. Trying to play a little bit more bruising basketball. Trying to hold to the last shot. I think they are. Stacey Ogman. And that's going to be out of bounds. Sonics basketball. And here's James going for the... Nope, he's not going to make it. And that's going to be the end of the quarter. All right, let's do it. It's now 26-23. Here's Stacey Ogman. Oh, with the dunk. And now it's going to be up to Shammond Williams. Williams for a long three. No, not this time. I think that's Art Long with the rebound. Here comes Isaiah Ryder. And here's Ogman. Nope. Bennett with the rebound. Here comes Sean Resprit to Shammond Williams. He's fouled. And he will go to the line. Sonics are now 18-35. But they are somehow still the second worst team in the NBA. And Williams misses the second free throw. And a kickball violation. There's Kelvin Cato, and he's able to get that in. Williams or Stevens for three. It is now 30-27. Ryder for three. Rebound O'Neal, blocked by McCoy. And a backcourt violation. Terrible pass by Shammond Williams. Now here's Brown. Here comes West. What has he got? Now here's going to be West again. Goes for a fadeaway. And rebound. Now here comes Williams. Stevens with a three-pointer. And here's McCoy. And he gets blocked. Here's Joe Stevens for three. Joe Stevens ties the game. Now 30-30. Now here comes Ryder. He's able to get that in. Williams for three. Now here comes Brown. He's able to slam that in there. Comes Shammond Williams. Now here's Joe Stevens going for a three-pointer again. Not this time. Still a 4-point game. And blocked by McCoy. Here's Rasheed Wallace. Now here's West. And misses. Now here's Ryder for 3. Bennett with the rebound. Now here is Joe Stevens for the spot up 3-pointer. He's able to get that in. Joe Stevens is now 3 of 5. Been one of the best scorers on the team. Now here's Wallace being guarded by McCoy. Goes for the fadeaway. He makes it. Stevens from the corner for 3. Joe Stevens is on fire. He has now 6 3-pointers. Now here comes West. Williams for 3. Now here's Damon Stoudemire. And it's going to be a clear path foul. He makes the free throw. It's going to be 2 shots and possession. It's going to be 40-36. Here's Stoudemire. Swish. Now 42-36. And stolen by Williams. There's Damon Stoudemire. Now here's Jerome James. And he is fouled by Sabonis, able to draw that foul. And free throws are made by Jerome James. I think they want to try to get more aggressive. I think they want to try to get Jerome James to get more aggressive in the post, possibly to draw fouls. Something that they probably should have done against Shaq when they played the Lakers a little bit, about a week ago. Now here's Sabonis. Goes for the fadeaway. Well defended by Jerome James. Now here comes Jamie Watson. Now here's James. And he's able to dance that through and get that in. He has now 13 points. He is leading the Sonics. Now here's Wallace. Goes for the jumper. Here's Watson again. Lewis for 3. And now here comes Williams. He's able to get that in. Here's Jerome James. And he's blocked by Sabonis. Is now an 8-point lead by Portland. Here's Wallace. Being guarded by Rodman. Now here's Ruben Patterson. James should be leading it through. He fakes it. He gets his own rebound. What was he doing? James is now 5 of 13. Now the jumper. Lewis with the rebound. A minute left in the half. Now here's James. And he loses it again. Oh, and Damon Stollmeyer is able to get around. Lewis for 3. Probably should get Rashard Lewis some more touches. Here's Jackson for 3. Lewis again. Oh, a 3-pointer. Rashard Lewis with now 13 points. Lewis is now 3 for 5 from downtown. And Stollmeyer. And now here's James. And he is fouled by Sabonis, drawing another foul. He will go to the line. Not again. Here's Stollmeyer. Oh, almost. And we're going to go into the halftime. Jerome James and Rashard Lewis are leading the way. Going to get Shammond Williams and Joe Stevens going. See if they can make some kind of a comeback. Now here's Walt Williams. Here's Stollmeyer. He makes it himself. Now here comes Shammond Williams to Rashard Lewis. Williams for 3. James gets the rebound. Heavily double teamed. He misses again. James is now at 4 rebounds. But he's not making his shots. And Portland gets the ball back. Now here's Sabonis with a jumper. He makes it. Stevens for 3. Rodman with the rebound. Here's Jerome James with the dunk. Nice pass by Dennis Rodman. Rodman had a really nice pass. Now here's Wallace. Rodman gets that board. Now here's Jerome James. No, he wasn't able to get to it. Bad pass. And he's going to go to the line. And now Rodman gets the rebound. Stevens for 3. He has now 15 points. Unbelievable. He's been one of the best scorers on the team, trying to make himself a candidate, and blocked by James. Out of bounds, it will be Portland ball. It's now 60-51. Now here's Wallace. Here's Jackson. Now you're Stottlemyre. Jackson for 3. No. Now here comes Joe Stevens, but he's going to but Portland's got that transitional defense. But now we've got Stevens again. Stevens is now making that comeback. Sonics are 10 of 19 from three-pointer. And a three-pointer. And they answered back anyway. That was Jim Jackson. Now here's James. And he's able to get that in. James has now 15 points. James is having such an amazing day. It's now 63 to 56. Here's a jumper and makes it. Now here's Jerome James. He's fouled, and Sabonis is now on his 4th personal foul as James has been drawing that foul. Been making life miserable for Arvydas Sabonis. And he has been pulled out because of foul trouble. Now here's Stottlemyre and blocked. Here is Stevens again for 3. Now here's Jackson. And now a three-pointer. He makes it. Portland is absolutely on fire. It's now 68-59. Now here's James. Three-pointer by Williams. Here's Jackson. And Stevens with the board. Here's James again. He makes it. But they got to take him out because he's getting a little bit tired, showing signs of fatigue. We have Patterson, Resprit, and Watson. Three-pointer. Now here comes Shammond Williams. Stevens again for 3. Nope. Here comes Stottlemyre. Here's Stottlemyre again. Cato with the rebound. And now Lewis gets it. Now here's Joe Stevens. Here's Rodman for 3. Like, what are you doing? An out of bounds Portland ball. But now let's get some players coming in. And timeout's been called. Brown for 3. Put on the line, that's a 2-pointer. Now here comes Jamie Watson. Here's Patterson for 3. Nope. Here's Ryder. Patterson with the rebound again. Resprit for 3. And the Sonics are just absolutely they just don't have it. This is D. Brown, by the way. Goes for a jumper. And McCoy gets the rebound and should be easy one. Here comes Jamie Watson. Gets his first basket of the game. Getting close to the end of the quarter. Now here comes Jackson with a jumper. And makes it. Now here comes Jamie Watson. And now here's McCoy with the jam. And near steal. And actually, Sonics get the ball back. Next is going to be New York, which I'll be doing another one tonight before I go to bed. Patterson for 3. Nope. 8 points for Rasheed Wallace and 9 rebounds. He should be getting a lot more touches. Here's D. Brown for 3-pointer. And Watson with the board. Now here comes Sean Resprit. Oh no, another steal. Now here's McCoy with the board. Here comes Sean Resprit to Patterson. And he is fouled and he will go to the line to complete a 3-point play. And he does. Now here comes Watson. Here's Patterson for 3. No, just in and out. Sonics are still down by 9. Now here comes Long. And at the buzzer. Now here's Bennett with the dunk. And that will do it for the third quarter. Now we will go into the fourth quarter. Oh. They're going to put in Joe Stevens. Williams will get on eventually. And turnover stolen by Wallace. Here's D. Brown. Now here's Sabonis for 3. No. And now it's going to be a pick and roll. And oh no, it's stolen by Jamie Watson. Here's D. Brown. And the foul. He's going to go to the line. The former slam dunk contestant. Now here's James. James now has 21 points. And that's going to be blocked by Jerome James. He has frustrated Sabonis throughout the game, keeping him to single digits. And now here's James again with 23 points. He might be going for career highs at this pace. And it's going to be a steal by Watson. And he will go in. He is fouled and he will go to the line. Fouled by D. Brown. The free throw is made. And free throws made again. Now here's Sabonis. And he gets it in finally. Now he has 10 points. Now here's Jerome James. The league seems open. He misses. Here's Ryder. He is fouled by Lewis. And he will be at the line. Now here comes Joe Stevens to Dennis Rodman with the dunk. Lewis hasn't really gotten much touches, so they gotta get it back to him. They're gonna give Jerome James, I think, a little bit of rest. They're gonna put McCoy. And now it's gonna nope. Who's got it this time? And out of bounds, it's gonna be Portland ball. Now here comes Isaiah Ryder. Here comes Sabonis. Right to Rodman. Rebound. Williams for 3. No! And McCoy with the loose ball foul. Here's Jackson. Here's Rodman with the rebound. Lewis for 3. McCoy gets it. Now here's Rodman. And he gets the board. And Sonics are completely struggling. Now here's Damon Stoudemire. Here's Jackson with a 3-pointer. And they're probably going to go with their starters real soon. Stevens for 3. Not this time. And he is just not making his shots anymore. And that was Jim Jackson, who's just torching the Sonics. Here's Stevens again. He's absolutely missing. And I think they're going to just put in Sean Respert to see what he can do. And Jackson, not this time. Here's Lewis with the jam. Here's Rashid. And Stoudemire with the jumper. Sonics have much of their starters back. Now here's Sean Respert back to Williams for 3. And finally, he gets it. And they are now within single digits. Now here's Isaiah Ryder. Now here comes Walt Williams for Rasheed Wallace. And here's Wallace with a jumper. James gets the board. And now it's a kind of an opportunity. Not really. And here is Stoudemire. And he's just going to get that in there. It's a 10-point game. Lewis for 3. Lewis with 18 points. Kind of curious who's going to be on the rookie sophomore game, too. Now here's Isaiah Ryder. Now here's Sabonis, and he's able to get that in over Jerome James. 2 minutes left in this game. Here's James posting up on Rasheed Wallace, gets around him, and he's blocked by Wallace. Sonics offense has just been very sloppy. Should have been an over and back right there. How they missed that. And here's Sabonis going with a silly jumper. Makes absolutely no sense. Gives the Sonics the opportunity again. Williams for 3. Foot on the line. That's a 2-pointer. Now it's 88, 95, 88. And there's Williams. Personal foul. It's a 4th team foul. Now here's Rasheed Wallace. Now they're really just trying to slow down this game. And now it's stolen by Shammond Williams. Now here is Rashard Lewis to Rodman. Lewis for 3. No. And if jumper made, 33 seconds, and I think this is just going to be it. Here's Williams for 3. Nope. And I think that's going to do it. The Sonics are they just had a very sloppy game. Now here's Rasheed Wallace. And he's going to make it. And nope. And that'll do it. The Portland Trailblazers are going to win their game as the Sonics completely disappointed. Jerome James led the way with 23 points and 7 rebounds. All right, I'm out. That's going to do it. Thank you for bearing with me for a double header. But I am getting out of here. Everyone else, have a good day. I'll be back for the Knicks game. I'll try to do it tonight.